Hello guys, welcome back to another video. This time I've been asked to talk about my picking technique. I get asked about this quite a lot for some reason, but yeah, a few people have asked me to do a video covering the way that I pick, basically, whether it's faster stuff, slower stuff, medium pace stuff, swing stuff, whatever. I'm going to take you through a few different approaches of things that I do in particular, if that's any interest to you. If not, I mean, you can still get some stuff out of this, hopefully, about how I execute certain things. It's similar to how a lot of guys do it, to be honest. Cool. So what you'll probably find is a lot of guys don't think too much about the way that they pick. Myself included, for a very long time I just did it. It was like a case of, yeah, the left hand's the important one, the right one just generates the notes, which is true to some respect, but it's also a load of bollocks in others. I saw a great interview with Paul Gilbert once where he talked about basically the left hand's like the steering wheel, that's sort of the navigator, and then the right hand's like the engine. And Paul Gilbert's pretty much an authority on picking. He's an incredible right hand technique. A lot of guys are very heavy one way or the other. You tend to find there'll be great left hand, fantastic left hand, all the legato stuff, and a weaker right hand, or they might have incredible right hand and a bit of a weaker left hand. It's nice if you can try and build both up. That's always been my philosophy. You know, my legato isn't anywhere near as good as, like, you know, Alan Holdsworth's, and my picking probably isn't as good as Yngwie Malmsteen's either, but I'm trying to get some kind of happy medium somewhere in between. So the way I basically approach it, what I do is pretty much a combination of economy picking and alternate picking. Back in the day when I was younger and I was just playing rock stuff, all I did was alternate picking all the time. It was just strict alternate all the time. And then later on, as I got into some jazz and fusion and stuff like that, I realised that it wasn't always the best approach. And what I was finding was that I was finding that I was actually accidentally economy picking anyway. Sometimes I didn't even realise I was doing it because, as I said, I didn't really pay attention to it. It was just whatever got the notes out, really. So what I suddenly realised was, on my descending runs, I was actually economy picking, and I didn't realise I was doing it. And for anyone who doesn't know, I'll just quickly show you what the two things are: economy picking and alternate picking. So alternate picking is just your obvious down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, whatever. It's just strict. Whatever you've played last, the next one's the opposite. So on a major scale or something, it'd be this. So that's great. A lot of guys only use that exclusively. The only downside with alternate picking is that it's not always the best choice when you're crossing strings. The reason being that it's not the most economical. You know, so if I play a major scale and strictly alternate pick it would go down, up, down, up, down, and the next note would have to be an up for it to be strict alternate, which you hopefully can see the flaw in that already, because we're going down, up, down, up, down, and then I've got to go over the next string, over the D string, to pick the note up in this direction. Then my right hand's travelling in the wrong direction. So that's alternate picking. Now, if you're on one string, fine, you don't have that problem to worry about at all, you know, that kind of thing. You don't need to worry about that, because no string crossing, job's a good one. Now, with economy picking, it's the same thing. Economy picking, still alternate picking. When you're on one string, you're still alternate picking. The difference is when you change strings. Whichever string direction you pick in, that's the direction that your pick stroke is going to be. So on a major scale, it would be just an A major scale. This time it would be down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And on the way back, every time I change string, it's going to be an upstroke. So it's going to go down, up, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, like that. So what you find is that becomes much, much more economical, because you're not having to jump over strings. Watch this hand. So what you you find with that is you maintain much more contact with the string, and that's a really useful thing to be able to do. And I found this really, really handy, because what I tend to find is the quicker I get when I'm playing runs and stuff, the more economical my picking gets, aka the movement gets smaller. For example, you know, if I turn the guitar away and play something like this, you'd probably think that my right hand was moving quite a lot there, but in all reality it's moving very little. If I again show you the right hand, very, very, very small movement, and it's just me being as economical as possible. That's just one string bind, mind you, but it's all coming from the wrist. There's no big forearm movement, there's no big sort of elbow levers or fulcrums going on there, it's all from the wrist. Just really, really small, refined movement, and that just refines over time. That's what that is. It's just refinement over a long period of time. So you get a lot of guys saying things like, you know, this is the common thing: play everything perfectly and slowly until you can speed it up, and speed it up, speed it up. Now there is definitely an element of truth in that. We all should do that early on. However, there comes a point when you're not going to be able to get any quicker, and the reason for that is, it's because you need to actually at some point start to play fast. That could be incredibly sloppy, it could be absolutely awful, you might miss half the notes, it might be fluff it all and sound terrible, but you've got to start training those little fast twitch muscle fibres and how to play quickly. And it'll be your left hand, could be all over the place, it doesn't matter, just play it sloppy at first, because then you're already playing at the target speed, but then it's just a case of cleaning it up after that. I always thought that was a bit of an odd analogy when people used to say, you know, start really slow and build it up. That works for a lot of things if you want to play some things perfectly and cleanly, but I don't think it works that great when it comes to speed, just sheer pure speed, because you've got to be able to play fast, which seems really obvious, but you wouldn't really train for a 100-meter sprint by running marathons, would you? At some point you've just got to try running as fast as you can. That it's going to have to occur. You know, you don't just all of a sudden, you know, run marathons and then be able to run, you know, a 10-second 100-meter sprint. It doesn't work like that. It's the same with the guitar. So that's my analogy on sort of developing the speed part of it. In terms of the mechanics, I pretty much flow between the two things, between economy and alternate. Alternate picking is a little bit better, I find, when you need more rhythmic variation, when you need to be really defined in your rhythms, especially if you're playing jazz and stuff like that. It can be more useful, but when you need a nice flow, I think economy picking is a bit superior. So I'll show you what I mean. So if I'm playing quicker stuff, the pick's just gliding through the strings there. That's all economy picked. That's all economy picked. But say if I was to play something a bit more swing, maybe some slightly more bebop sounding line. So you could see there that I was changing it up. I was playing across the strings, or if I want the smoother thing, economy picked, but when I need to accent different strings and play slightly more of a swing feel, you see I'm doing multiple downstrokes there. So when I'm playing really quick and I want to kind of combine that stuff all together, it's going to be an even approach between the two. See what I mean? So I'm combining the two things, economy picking, alternate picking all the time, keeping the movements really small and then trying to just really keep them nice and refined for anything I play, whether it's quick, slow or whatever. But really when it comes down to it, I try not to think too much about it these days. I just let it do what it naturally wants to do. There was a period where I would practice exercises where, you know, for example, when I wanted to get my economy picking better, when I suddenly realised it was a thing that I was doing, I would practice things like odd groupings of strings. That's a useful one to try. So just like practicing threes, so you could go 1, 2, 3. that can be quite awkward at first, especially on the descending part. A lot of people struggle with the descending part of economy picking. The upstrokes, the ascending part isn't too bad because you kind of got gravity working with you, but you've got it against you this side. That kind of thing. And then obviously major scales and that type of stuff. And then just with strict alternate picking, I mean, there's multiple things you can do. You know, a lot of us had the Paul Gilbert intense rock things back in the day, where he's got all these kind of just going across 2 strings. The cool thing is with any 2-string picking pattern, if you can do it on 2 strings, it's pretty easy to transfer across all the strings. It's not too difficult. If you can do that, you can do it. So it becomes very easy to then just transfer. It's the same mechanic, you see. So that's how I pick. Hope you get some use out of that. Give it a try. Try the different approaches, see what works best, mix and match. If speed's your thing, if you're trying to pick faster, if that's your actual goal, then just try playing fast. Controversial maybe, but it worked for me. Give these different things a try, and then hopefully it'll get to a point where it's just a bit more natural, keeping the pick nice and close to the strings, no big excessive movements, no sort of elbow stuff going on. You see some people using the fingers, like you know, just moving the pick back and forth with the fingers. I find that a bit too fiddly, and you can't dig into the string enough. I like to get plenty purchase on the string to generate the notes. So again, my picking all comes from my wrist, but it's not a big movement at all. It's a very small movement. So try all those things, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys, thank you.